Welcome to the Vet S.O.S podcast. Remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S Lifeline. Vet S.O.S is brought to you by the Who You Know Network and our proud members of the Pray Deck community. Today, we're sitting down with Brian Cain, Director of Development for Guitars for Vets. The program struck a chord with me. Can't wait to get into this discussion. You see what I did there, Keith?
Womp womp.
Cruising along with my battle buddy, Keith. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this one. As a former professional musician myself, can't wait to get into this one with Brian.
Yeah, it's the elusive guitar. Like I always wanted it. In fact, I still have a guitar in my closet. Just haven't learned to play it yet. So hopefully I can learn something from here and launch that music career. So, all right, we'll jump right in. We got Brian Cain. He's the Director of Development for Guitars for Vets, a national nonprofit that helps put the healing power of music into the hands of our nation's veterans. Brian served in the United States Marine Corps as a military working dog handler and as a law enforcement officer in Metro Atlanta in various capacities. He now lives in rural Northeast Alabama, where he homesteads with his family. How you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on, Sean. It was good to meet you guys.
It's great to have you on, and you know that this is a fantastic organization that I learned about. It's about a year and a half ago, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. We need to see if there's something in Jacksonville." And it turns out there is. So I'm definitely trying to get enrolled in it and become a participant because I'd love to try this out and maybe finally learn how to play the instrument I got hiding in my garage or my closet. So, but let's jump right into this, man. Tell us about your transition and how your transition out of the military went.
Yeah, so I am on the older side of the GWAT veterans. I transitioned out of the Marine Corps back in 2005, and transition was here's some classes and they smack you on the butt and shove you out the door. That's how they did transition back then. They had like 3 days of what they called taps, and that was it. Here you go. I had a really desirable job at the time. I was a military working dog handler. I trained dogs to bite people and sniff drugs and bombs and stuff like that. And at the time, that was in really high demand. So I had a lot of agencies and organizations that wanted me to come do work for them. But I had a child, and I'm like, I can't live that life anymore. I need to figure out what life post-service looks like for me. And honestly, I struggled a lot when I got out. I didn't realize at the time that I had PTSD. I didn't realize at the time I had a brain injury. And so I just continued to seek those jobs that were continually more and more dangerous. That's, hence the introduction while I was in, law enforcement in Metro Atlanta. I was part of a narcotics task force doing undercover drug stuff and, just constantly seeking that next most dangerous thing that I could do. And that was my transition, man, was just, here's 3 classes, go try not to be the person that we trained you to be anymore and reintegrate into society and have fun with that.
Go with God.
Yeah, basically, don't let the door hit you. There's someone else that's waiting to take your leash, so you need to get out of here.
That's fascinating, Keith. I don't know that I've heard anybody talk about it this way before, where he's continuously trying to find the next dangerous job.
The next adrenaline rush, yep.
Yeah, and that's just a fascinating thing to think about when it comes to transition. And I bet a lot of veterans can think back over their post-transition years and been, I did the same thing.
Yeah. We called them deployment junkies. They get addicted to that adrenaline rush. And what was that movie? The EOD movie. I think it's good.
Hurt Locker.
Hurt Locker. Yeah, it kind of does a good job of showing that to an extent, for sure. So, I'm just curious, how do you go from the adrenaline rushes and seeking that out and everything else to what I seems like maybe the complete opposite side of the coin, except maybe the roar of a crowd while you're on stage. But how do you go to guitar playing?
It's important to know that I am a very poor guitar player.
Okay.
I have some limited dexterity in my non-dominant hand, which of course, as you know, is pretty important when you play guitar. So I'm not excellent at playing guitar, but I did learn. I went through our Guitars for Vets program. And my instructor, who leads our cyber chapter, he was phenomenal. He worked within my capabilities and said, hey, basically, here's what we're going to do. Here's some chords. And from these chords, you're going to be able to play 90% of the songs that you hear on the radio. So that's exactly what we did. And it made me a less horrible guitar player. But no, how I got here was in 2014, I had this epiphany moment and said, you know, my time in this career field is going to come to an end one way or the other. Either I do something stupid and I end up, you know, being fired, or, you know, I'm close to an incident where someone has done something stupid and then we all get fired, or I'm hurt or something, or I retire. You know, the reality is you can only do young man's job as an old man for so long. So, and I was getting there. I was starting to I was in my mid 30s, and I said, you know, I can't continue to do this, and I have to find something else. So I taught myself business and sales, and went into a sales career, and started working as a nonprofit, or started working with a nonprofit, helping them do some commercial real estate development stuff, turning churches into co-working spaces and stuff like that. And honestly, I hated it. I was absolutely miserable. I wasn't kicking down doors and catching bad guys anymore. And I really struggled through all that. And I didn't really start to come to a place where I could feel comfortable doing anything else until we actually left Metro Atlanta. My family and I packed up and moved 2 hours away out here from Metro Atlanta to rural Northeast Alabama. And I started kind of this process of healing. And I came to the realization of, hey, look, you know, what you're doing is counterproductive, and it's just not a good place for you to be and for your family to be the kind of person that you are. And I just kind of had this moment where I had a real heart-to-heart with myself and said, you know, it's time that you start investing in others and teaching them and giving them the same hope that you found. And luckily, I found an organization whose mission aligns with my mission that I live out in my personal day-to-day, and it was Guitars for Vets. I'm the director of development. I don't have a problem asking people for money. What's the worst they can do? You know, say no. They're not going to shoot me. They're not going to, you know, try and blow me up. They're not going to do any of that stuff. All they do is just say no. And, you know, once you've had people shoot at you and try to blow you up, you know, what's the word? I mean, what's no to that? It's just a no. It's totally fine. I'll see you again in 6 months, right? So I'm incredibly thankful for the opportunity to have stepped into this role and to offer some lifeline, offer some hope to veterans when they kind of feel like maybe they don't have any.
So what I just heard was a whole lot of self-realization, which I would argue normally us vets have a hard time doing, or it's impossible for us to do. I don't know, but how so I'm curious behind that. Like, most of us, myself included, like, we had to get beaten over the head with a 2x4, like, hey, you had PTSD, hey, you've got issues, hey, you're probably an alcoholic, you know, all these different kinds of things. How did you come to these self-realizations without reaching that point? Because you mentioned, like, you realized, hey, the long term, this is one of these things is probably going to happen, and none of them are really that good. Like, what gave you the ability to kind of have that foresight and search introspectively kind of within yourself?
So I have two sons, and the oldest he's 21 now. He's he moved back to Metro Atlanta to be with his longtime girlfriend. They'll be engaged soon and married. You know, he's a young man starting out in his own life. But so I've been here almost 3 years, and 3 years ago I realized that my family was crumbling. It was falling apart. My wife and we've been married. Actually, tomorrow is our 23rd wedding anniversary.
Congratulations!
And right, yeah, you don't hear that often anymore, right? Do you? Yeah. So she basically was like, I love you, but I just can't continue to live like this. You know, I was miserable. I wasn't a pleasant person to be around. I had a bad attitude, and she was basically just, she was fed up, and she had had enough, and she was getting to a point in her life too where she's like, I have to decide if I want to be around this miserable man the rest of my life. And I was we had moved and packed up and did the whole move transition thing. And I was scrolling through YouTube, and I saw this video, and I sat in my chair and I wept. It was a video from an organization called Boulder Crest Foundation, and it was a video. I don't want to ruin it, but just search for Boulder Crest on duty, and give that a watch. And when I saw that video, I said, "Oh my gosh, that feels just like." Well, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps and getting emotional just talking about it. I said that's exactly what I feel like, is that right there. And I said, if this organization can bring me the hope that this video promises, I can probably save this. And so I went to a program called Warrior Path, that's funded by an EOD guy, Ken Falk. And after my 1 week at Warrior Path, it changed my life. Total transformational change. I always kind of suspected that I had PTSD, and not just from the military either, right? So like, one of the things that no one talks about is you serve, let's say you do 2 stints in the service, right? You re-enlist one time, do 8, right? You might see, 3 or 4 traumatic incidents while you're in that time, depending on how many times you deploy or where you deployed to, right? Let's just call it 5, right? You see 5 really bad things, and then you get out, and you spend the rest of your life trying to figure out how to live with those things. But law enforcement sees 40 to 50 critical incidents a year, and I was in it for a decade, so the PTSD doesn't just happen in the military, of course, we all know that, but it's different for law enforcement, and I didn't understand that. And I got to just kind of fully immerse myself in that when I was at Warrior Path, and it changed my life. I left that. I went to Camp Southern Ground just south of Atlanta. Incredible organization. I love Camp Southern Ground. I love Boulder Crest for doing this Warrior Path thing. And I went back to Camp Southern Ground for a follow-on program that they have called Warrior Week. And one of the instructors there pulled me aside, and he was like, "Brian, have you ever been assessed for a brain injury?" And I said, "No. I was never blown up. No big incidents that would have happened." He was like, "Well, let me ask you something. When you're in the shower and you're washing your face, and like soap is in your face, do you have to touch the side of the shower so you don't feel like you're going to fall over?" And I was like, "Oh crap." I do. And he pointed me in this direction of this organization called Avalon Action Alliance, and I went. Actually, I just came back a couple weeks ago. I did a 3-week intensive outpatient program for people with brain injuries down in Jacksonville, Florida. And incredible transformational program there. Still trying to kind of figure out what life looks like on the other side of that. So it's been a long journey to guitars, and it's been a long journey of self-discovery. And it just takes someone sitting down and being honest with herself and saying, "I don't like this person that I am, and I want to change it." And the way you change it is by exemplifying the traits in other people that you find that you do like.
Man, that first off, thanks for sharing all that with us. And beautiful testimony too, because we just had Steve Pappas on, the director.
I was looking for the episode number. So I'm looking over here. I was like, "What episode number is that? Plug it."
I went through the 3-day assessment, and it's just a fantastic organization and what they're doing. And Camp Southern Ground is actually coming on here in a couple weeks, so we're excited to talk to them as well.
Who are you getting from CSG?
Lacey.
Lacey. Oh yeah, Lacey. Lacey ran the Warrior Week program that I was in. I love Lacey, man. He's awesome.
Oh yeah. So it's just all these great organizations, man, and I'm so happy that you're finding the help you need, and it's. I'm chuckling a little bit, when you talk about having to move out of Atlanta to the country. I'm like, hey, Keith and I just stayed in downtown Atlanta last year. I mean, the peacefulness of the sirens and
Right.
and all the yelling outside, and I mean,
deals.
come on, who wants to give that up? It's but man, I love the testimony you just gave. But let's move into Guitar for Vets, man. Tell us about this program. What's your guys? Is it just learning a guitar, or are we doing something else? What are we doing?
Sure. Yeah. If that's what people want to initially get out of it, that's exactly what they're going to get out of it. But what I think they'll find is that something else actually happens. So Guitars for Vets started back in 2007. It's been around for a long time. We're nationwide now. We have 300 practice locations. We have 2 cyber chapters, and we graduate about 2,000 students a year.
Wow.
Through our program. Yeah, it's a pretty substantial program. Altogether, we've served about 15,000 veterans, and the way that the programming that we use is a 10-week instructional model. So you get 10 weeks with one-on-one with an instructor. And that instructor takes whatever limitations that you have and teaches you how to play guitar at some level within those 10 weeks. Most people will find that they can play at a pretty good level with just 10 weeks of one-on-one practice if they dedicate the time in between the practice sessions to practice on their own, right? So what that looked like for me was I did it through our cyber chapter, and I learned 4 chords and strumming patterns. And that's what we focused on. So between those 4 chords and the strumming patterns that we learned, I left being able to play like 6 songs that I just kind of remembered out of my head, right? So playing guitar, while it is complicated, is totally an eye-opening experience when you're like, oh man, all these songs that I love are basically the same, and I can figure it out. But where the magic really happens is in the growth of the individual while they're doing this, because you guys, you both expressed it, your frustration with having to learn how to play this instrument, right? It's like, oh gosh, it feels so elusive, but man, when it finally hits, you're like, oh yes, I finally got it. So now you have that experience that you're going to share with other people, because we have follow-on programs for like jam sessions and stuff like that. So every month our chapters get together and all the veterans come together with their guitars, and they have jam sessions and continue to learn. So that when a veteran completes the program, they're given a brand new guitar, they're given a brand new accessory pack, a stand, a gig bag, a song book, all the care stuff for the guitars, new strings, the whole shebang. Like my graduation guitar was a John Lennon Epiphone replica. So it looks just like, so if you type in John Lennon Epiphone, the guitar that he is holding in those pictures, that's what our graduation guitars currently look like.
Wow.
And we have some incredible partnerships with some incredible organizations that help to reduce costs on those graduation kits. I mentioned earlier Kaiser Capo. They make a capo specifically for our organization, and it's incredible the number of supporters and the very high level instrument dealers that we work with that give us really good deals on these guitars because of what we're doing is absolutely phenomenal. But at the end of those 10 weeks, you get a graduation guitar, and you come back for that for those follow-on jam sessions. Now, the number one thing that people talk about when they leave the military is, I miss the people, I miss the community. And that's where our organization really shines, because that's what we're giving you back. So your 10 weeks is your boot camp. Once you get through it, you come back, and now you're back part of the organization, and now you have your community again, and you have your people again. And that's really where the magic happens. The 10 weeks of instruction, they're just the gateway. The real healing and the real growth happens inside of those jam sessions. And that's really what our program is. It's a preventative healthcare model, because if you can catch a veteran before they need clinical intervention, everybody agrees that's the best time to catch them.
Yeah.
You know, there's absolutely places and times for needing clinical intervention. But I think if we can catch veterans before they start that downward spiral, or even catch them at the very beginning before the need for clinical intervention, I think that does worlds more of good than the immediate, point of issue interventions that we start seeing that are honestly that are heavily funded and are real popular in the media right now. But the better option is don't let them get there, and that's where we kind of fit into the spectrum.
Yeah, and yeah, I love what they're doing. So I have a couple follow-on questions. So one, we've heard your grassroots beginning, and I love it. What can you share? There's two questions. So what can you share about the grassroots beginning of a guitar instructor and a Vietnam veteran getting together and realizing that this is a service to provide to the veteran community? And then two, because like you see, I got a Fender Jazz bass behind me. I'm not a guitar player. So do you do more than just regular guitar? Do you venture out into other stringed instruments? Do you do any other instruments at all, even beyond strings? So yeah, those are my two questions.
Sure. So I'll do those in reverse order. We have a program that we pilot at a couple locations called Operation Basecamp, and nice. That's pretty we like to keep the cookies on the bottom shelf, right? Like that's pretty self-explanatory what
Yep.
Operation Basecamp is. So we eventually hope to launch an electric guitar program. We're actually looking for a large corporate sponsor to help fund a pilot program. So if there's any organizations out there, here's the director of development coming out in me. If there's any
nice
organizations
plug
out there that want to cut us a check for $100,000 to pilot this project, then hit me up. But to answer your first question, when you're walking in whatever local grocery store that you have near you, and you see the guy walking, got a little shuffle in his feet, and he's wearing the Vietnam hat, and you walk up to him and you stick your hand out and you say, "Sir, thank you for your service. Welcome home." That man forgets that he's 75 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks, and he can see it in you. He knows if you're one too. And it doesn't matter at that point anymore that there's an entire generation and a half between you as warfighters. That warfighter recognizes this other warfighter. And I think what we see, especially within our organization, because we do have a lot of Vietnam veterans that come through our program, they're happy to see that the younger generation still has an interest in what they have to say. Because they truly, I mean, my father died in 2008 from Agent Orange disease. He's a Vietnam veteran, and he knew what it was like, and all those guys know what it's like to be discarded by society when they come back home. And we're still kind of paying a penance for that, and it's something that I hope that our generation and the coming generation of warfighters don't have to that they don't have to deal with. But when they sit down together, because most of our instructors are young men, some of them are veterans, some of them are not. You don't have to be a veteran in order to be an instructor with us. But it definitely helps to establish that connection. So when they sit down, like when I was in Jacksonville, Florida for my medical stuff, I went to our chapter down there, and there was 2 Vietnam veterans sitting there with a GWAT veteran, and it was like they had served together. They were backslapping and carrying on just like they had been, like they had served together. So it really eliminates the barriers and allows 2 service members to look at each other as equals, so they can walk alongside of each other to accomplish this goal.
I'll tell you, this organization almost sounds perfect.
Oh
I,
man, we're far from
well,
perfect.
I mean, first of all, you're learning a cool skill, and it's something that can lead to even more camaraderie. Not just the jam sessions, but I like to go camping and stuff like that, and a guitar around a campfire, and just people sitting there chilling and talking and having a good time. That is one of the best experiences that I can think of. And you get this great graduation package. The only thing that you don't have is when do I get my music contract? Like, when are we going to add that into this whole package? Because then I think you'd be the perfect organization.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because an important part of being a musician, especially when you put a 6-string instrument in someone's hand, is they want to do songwriting eventually, right? So I can't say who the sponsors are quite yet, but we just found out that we're going to be able to do another songwriters retreat, a Guitars for Vet songwriters retreat in a state that yet to be named. If I give away too many details, people will be able to put it together. We're not quite ready to announce it to the public yet, but a very generous offer came in from one of our friends in the music industry, and we will be doing a second year of songwriters groups in a state yet to be named.
Well, I absolutely love it, and we've had Operation Song on the show.
I was going to bring up Operation Song.
Yeah,
Great
fantastic.
I can see two of you all melding together beautifully, but maybe we're letting the cat out of the bag. I don't know. Maybe we're
No, it's not. It's not Song. It's
not Song. Okay.
No.
Both Keith and I have gone through Operation Songs program. It was just, to me, it was a phenomenal experience. I think, Keith, you pretty much had the same thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love these types of organizations because it taps into the creative side, which just it brings so much out of you, and it's so good for healing. Because the PTSD stuff you talked about earlier, man, it is so real, and the fact that we're seeing things that the average person doesn't and shouldn't ever see.
That's right.
And regardless of what your level of combat or interaction was or whatever, those kinds of things impact you, and you never know how they're going to manifest themselves either. So it's so important to do stuff like this, man. I just applaud you guys and what you're doing. And like I said, I'm on the waiting list. I am a little upset, though. You came down here to Jacksonville and hit me up.
I didn't. Yeah. I had no idea. You said Jacksonville. I was like, man, I really hope he meant Jacksonville, North Carolina, because I'm going to feel bad if it was Florida.
Right in my own backyard. Didn't even hit me up. Could have fast tracked me into a course too, man. But I'm on the waiting list, so hopefully I can get in here soon. And
are you on the waiting list at the Jacksonville location or
for the
Jacksonville,
the one that meets on the west side over in by the base by NAS?
Oh yeah. There's another one. There's one that meets at the vet center there by NAS, right?
Yeah, like Tuesday nights, I think.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm trying to get into.
Yeah. That's not at the vet center. That one's at Reserve Fleet Association. That's where that one is. That's the one that I went to. I'll hit up Chris and be like, hey, dog.
Fast track the application.
All right. So we are at time, guys. Oh God, this is a great one. I want to keep going. In fact, I got 2 questions for you, but I might even throw a name out there because there's somebody I'm going to ask you kind of the question, but I'm asking partially for my own personal reasons because I tinkered on the bass, but there's a guy who I want to turn on to your program. He's a bass player. He's an amazing bass player. He teaches bass. So I'm like wondering. So 2 questions. I'm getting ahead of myself. So first of all, I'm going to ask the questions in reverse order. So second, tell me about how people can get in touch with you or the program if they want to either take to go through it, or if they want to support it. Maybe they're a musician and they're willing to offer their time up. So that's the second question. The first question is, and I need an honest answer here. Who's the toughest to train? A bomb sniffing dog, a rookie cop, or a beginner guitar player?
Oh, okay. I'll do my typical thing, and I'll answer the first question last.
Yeah.
The second question. No, we'll do it. We'll hit it. We'll hit it reverse order. Since you reverse
okay.
it. Training animals is easy, unless it's people. So the number one issue with training a dog is that you have to train the owner too. So you can teach a dog to sniff anything. Like they teach dogs to find SD cards for like these child exploitation groups. That's what
Wow.
that's what they teach the dog. The dog is smelling a chemical glue that's used to hold all electronics together. So like when you pass by Burger King, you smell Burger King. You know that Burger King smells different than McDonald's or all that stuff, right? But when a dog passes by Burger King, he doesn't smell Burger King. He smells the oil, he smells the
Mm,
fries, the pickles, the buns, the people, the stuff on their shoes. Like dogs smell these individual fragments of things. So if it can be smelled by a dog, you can train a dog to alert to it. It's just that simple. People, on the other hand, we are complicated animals, and they are the hardest ones to train. Training animals is easy. Training people is hard. But I will say that it's probably harder to train a rookie cop than it
okay.
is to train someone to play the guitar.
Okay.
At least with playing the guitar, you can assign them homework and say practice at home. But it's hard to train a rookie cop to go up to a car for the first time by himself. Really, really hard.
Fair. Yeah. Solid answer.
Yeah, yeah. I've done all those things. Well, I haven't trained someone how to play a guitar, but I've done the other two, and
Yeah.
I would rather train the dogs, honestly. So, second, how you can get in touch with us, you can go to guitarsforvets.org. You can use the word for, the letter for. We got both of them. So, from there, you can, if you feel led to give, there's plenty of donation widgets and stuff that are scattered about on the pages. If you're a guitar instructor and you want to become an instructor for Guitars for Vets, there's a contact us link. Just hit that contact us link, send us an email, say, hey, I'm close to this chapter, or I can do it electronically. I can do it, via the cyber chapters, all those things, and we will get you paired up with some chapter coordinators that need help. If we have like a super long waiting list, then adding another instructor will help kind of clear out that waiting list. And if people want to get in touch with me, the easiest way to do that is brian@guitarsforvets.org. It's FOR for the email, so guitarsforvets.org.
Awesome. No, this is great stuff, Brian. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been amazing work. Unfortunately, yeah, we are at time, so I got to get this wrapped up. So, and real quick, Jim Lambie, if you're listening, or if anybody within my network is listening and they know who I'm talking about, Jim, you need to give this episode a listen. We need to get you in touch with these guys. All right. So, on behalf of the Vet S.O.S family, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. The Vet S.O.S is growing and expanding. You can follow us on all the social media platforms. Make sure to check out all 4 of our shows, because we have one starting tomorrow with what is the name of the show
Kingsley
again?
Scott, The Scoop.
Kingsley. What's that?
The Scoop.
The Scoop. That's right. I was trying to remember what Kingsley was doing. All right, The Scoop. So tomorrow. So you heard it here first. And I lost where I was at. All right. So yeah, we're on YouTube, Reach Across America Radio, the Parade Deck, and all your favorite podcast platforms. Make sure you subscribe to us, follow us, all that kind of good stuff. Spread the word about us, because we don't get paid a cent to do any of this stuff. We're just trying to help the community out there. And remember, everybody, as always, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet SOS Lifeline.